because the view from his room was exquisite. "Miss, your room is on the top floor," Laura said as she guided her into the building. It must have been his first time there, but it seemed like he was showing off for no reason. Although you could go up to the third floor by stairs, it was an attic to which you had to go back up a ladder. As he opened the creaky old trapdoor and climbed into the room, a nostalgic image caught his attention. The landscape seen through the large windows on both sides was truly beautiful. Looking to the east, he could see a steadily flowing river flowing across a vast plain, and looking out the window to the west, he could see a picturesque expanse of mountains. It was one of the best places to see the morning sunrise and sunset over Seosan Mountain. The question is, how do I escape from here? At night, when Laura closed the trapdoor from below, it seemed very difficult to leave the room. It was nice to have a window, but since it was on the top floor, it was too dangerous to climb or jump off the wall. Unlike fortresses with similar structures, it was unclear if there was even a secret passage here. "I'll have to look for it. It may be difficult." "You shouldn't waste your time like that." He bit his nails nervously. There were still 4 years before he could return to the dukedom, but he couldn't help but feel impatient. It would have been comforting to know what Byron was planning, but it was really difficult to find out. "I'll prepare the bath water soon. Get some rest first. You will have to focus on training again starting tomorrow." "All right. Thank you, Laura." When Laura left the room and left her, Isla lay down on the stone bed that Laura had covered with a soft blanket. "I felt very sad when I left here." Even though he was leaving such an impressive landscape behind, he began to cry. She had been staying there for just over a month. He had moved location. "I liked the place I moved to, so I quickly forgot about it." In this situation, he found himself recalling memories and bursting into laughter. Where did he go after that? He thought now. He felt like he liked that place too. Well, even if he didn't make the effort to remember, he would soon find out because he was moving there in a month. Even if he thought about it now, it didn't seem like it would come to his mind. Frowning, he shook his head as he tried to remember. "Miss, the bath water is ready. Please come down." At that moment, she heard Laura's voice calling her from under the floor. He lifted his heavy body, opened the trapdoor, and left his room. That night he slept comfortably indoors for the first time in a long time, but he couldn't sleep well. It was because she didn't feel comfortable. Isla, who washed herself with Laura's help, had an unbearably bad time when she was kidnapped by Byron, whom she rarely saw during the trip. When she saw Byron kissing her hair like he usually did, she wanted to cut it off immediately. He returned to his room without showing any discomfort and began searching for the hidden passage. It was because he felt that he couldn't bear this terrible situation if he didn't. But the results were disappointing. No matter how hard he looked, he couldn't see any space where a hidden passage could exist due to the structure of the building. She went to sleep worried that she would have to stay like this for a month or more, so she wouldn't be able to get a comfortable sleep. After wasting several days like this, Isla found herself once again at the training ground near the fortress. "I was tired of repetitive and meaningless everyday life, but I had to endure it. I was used to patience. Because I was tired of putting up with it since I was young. I would like to do a special training today, miss." Isla had been lost in thought and came to her senses upon hearing Cloud's words. It was a special training. Even for her, who always repeated the same routine like a squirrel on a treadmill, sometimes there were special days. In the name of special training, it was a rare opportunity to escape from the hiding place where she was always confined and come out to the nearby area. Was it Cloud's decision? It seemed like he was bothered by the idea of cheating on me. Thinking about it, there was no way Byron would allow him to leave the hiding place easily. But when she remembered that she was sometimes allowed to go out with Cloud, she couldn't help but think about it. She assumed Cloud was trying to alleviate her guilt. She was so grateful she almost brought tears to her eyes. I couldn't believe he was trying to assuage the guilt of ruining someone's life with so little thought. Special training? Yeah. I want to climb that mountain. However, when she hid her dark feelings and asked with a voice full of anticipation, Cloud pointed to the mountains to the west. It was a mountain visible from his room. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Since she was always confined, there was something about being able to go out even once in a while. Of course, going out was nothing special, it was just a walk, but it would still be a refreshing change of pace. Don't think too easily. It is a fairly steep mountain. It's okay, I understand, Cloud. As he listened to the story, he felt like he remembered climbing that mountain. It was evident that the slope was steep and he remembered that there were sections where he had to climb huge rocks. Normally, it wouldn't be an easy mountain for a 12-year-old girl to climb. But I felt good when I got to the top. Laura's mother, Capella, handed the lunch bag to Cloud. Maybe it was because he overheard the conversation the other day, but the look in his eyes when he handed me the lunchbox seemed a little harsh. It seemed like a pressure to do well and not just think about unnecessary things. Laura always put a cap on Isla before leaving the hideout. Although it was a deserted area, they could meet someone on the top of the mountain. Cloud was wearing a hat and even had a picnic bag in his hands. It looked like they were going to have a picnic. If he were younger, he would have been excited. The slope at the beginning of the mountain was not that steep, so it looked like a trail with a slight climb. The leaves swayed in the fresh wind and a pleasant smell emanated from it. The smell of wood. At first she didn't expect much, but when she came out, she felt so refreshed that she unconsciously began to walk with ease. As she climbed the mountain in a good mood, she felt Cloud's eyes persistently following her from behind. It seemed like he was worried that she might disappear. Isla might be 12 after all. He could have easily surpassed Cloud with his current abilities, but he didn't have to. He hadn't discovered anything about Byron's plan yet, and even if he escaped here, he had nowhere to go. A steep mountain with no people nearby. It was a place where her life could not be guaranteed if she got lost alone. Take my hand. The rocks are slippery, so if you trip, you'll be in big trouble, Cloud said in a worried voice, holding out his hand. Isla looked silently at Cloud's faithful hand. It was something very strange. She felt a certain kindness in his rough, expressionless face. To Cloud, Isla was the daughter of his enemy, and to her, Cloud was also an object of revenge. Although he knew that the slightest gesture of kindness he showed towards Isla was a feeling of guilt that came from using a child. For some reason, his feelings were complicated. I couldn't forgive him, I couldn't hate him completely. Aren't you going to catch her, lady? Oh, thank you. As he climbed the rock holding Cloud's hand, the top of the mountain came into view. She was sweating as she climbed the mountain in the hot weather, but she felt refreshed. As she sat on the mat that Cloud had laid out for her, the wind blowing from the top of the mountain cooled her sweat. Let's go eat, miss, Cloud said as he took his lunch box out of his bag. There was only a sandwich and a warm drink, but he thought it was delicious because he was hungry. The view from here is also very beautiful. I thought the view from my room was just beautiful. After taking a bite of his sandwich, he clenched his jaw and looked east. It was very beautiful to see the river flowing and shining in the sunlight. Are those the ruins we currently live in? You could see it at a glance. The building seemed much smaller than it appeared, possibly because it was so tall. The structure that extended from the tall tower where his chamber was located looked like a bird with its wings spread. Isla, thinking it was pretty funny that the scenery was distracting her in that situation, laughed and tried to put the sandwich back in her mouth. I would have done it if I hadn't noticed something strange. What? Is this what my room looks like? His room, located just below the tall tower, looked a little different than it did from the inside. From what he remembered, the attic was a little more elongated in an east-west direction, with windows. But when he looked down from above, he felt that the longitudes of east-west and north-south were the same. Was it an illusion? Otherwise, it meant that there was some hidden space. Even with the thickness of the wall, it seemed like there would be room for at least one person to enter if there was a hidden space. His heart beat happily in the hope that perhaps he could find a secret passage. Is it that good? Isla smiled and put the sandwich in her mouth, and heard Cloud murmur,